Lucky you!
Best 36 holes in golf.
You tuned in to Alternate Shots Podcast,
Marnie's Army.
where we talk about golf,
Marquis, Sandy's.
poker,
Bond. James Bond.
horse racing,
I'm all in.
great movies.
Alfred Hitchcock.
We have no script.
And down the stretch they come.
We're glad you joined us.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Well, Billy, how excited are you? We are with royalty today. There's no more royalty around Winged Foot than someone with the last name of Collins. And we have none other than Bobby Collins here. And he is as part of Winged Foot as anybody ever was or is. But Bobby, welcome.
Thank you for that introduction.
Hey, Bobby, how does it feel to be talking to us and not having to make people get out of the way so we can tee off?
It feels a little different, to be honest. The best with Gene was so he was tough. You're right. He didn't have that sense of humor. So when I found out was, when I was 9 years old, 10 years old, and I'm first starting, he would go on Sunday mass to St. Gregory's. And I knew that 7:00 mass. He'd have communion and then he'd leave to get up to Winged Foot by 7:30. And St. Gregory's was always known for, real 15-minute mass.
Yeah.
So my father, didn't have to be up there early for the tournaments back then. And I would go and sit behind Gene at mass. And then I did, Gene, you think you can give me a ride up to Winged Foot? He just loved it. I'd be the first one out every day.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
Work in the room.
Yeah, I worked the church.
I never ask anybody this question. Did you and the other caddy you were with, were you ever gambling?
Yeah, when we had real good players, yeah. Not so much with Birdman, but with other caddies. The most amazing thing about Winged Foot growing up, I started in 1973, was the amount of kids from 10, 11, 12, 13 to college kids. I mean, there had to be 30, and Bobby, you can remember some of these names. You had Chip Archer and the Steinthal's and the Collinses, my brothers, my cousins, Richie Baker, John Burlinson. I mean, there was the Bobby Morrell, Peter Malloy. This kid, Bobby Morrell, he was so funny. And he would be telling jokes and what. You were hoping you didn't get called. We were having such a fun time in the caddy yard.
Bert told us that you actually caddied in that legendary 4-ball with Evel Knievel. Tell us about that.
Knievel's card have two wheels?
I mean, back then we had the carts with 3 wheels.
3 wheels, yeah. Capsize them.
Dad would give out four rabbits, basically. I believe it was Chip Archer, me, Peter Malloy, and Bobby Morrell. I just remember the entourage and the amount of money that they were playing for, which when we were caddying a $2 Nassau, a $3 Nassau, with something, it was $10,000. There was a bet at one time or something like that. Multi-millionaire stuff, and you sometimes you prevent puke, so to speak. So I was just trying to do the best job I could. There was a gallery, there were carts that you never saw this, except maybe in like the Anderson or the Club Championship, and I remember Kelly Mosier and the amount of money, and I knew, I finally found out that I was very close with Kelly at the time and his wife Glenda, that Kelly was getting taken care of. If he won, he won. If he lost, he didn't have to come up with the money.
I still had to be sweating through multiple shirts in that couple rounds of golf, right?
I believe Doug Sanders was in the was
Doug Sanders and the business manager, right?
And the manager, right? Yeah.
The golfer was Evel Knievel.
He could hit it, number one, but number two is you didn't care. The whole thing was about your handicap, and how many shots you get, and then, can I make a 4 net 3? That and the bunkers, when they did it in the bunker, that was like a $500 bet to get it up and down, or
How long were you at Winged Foot?
I started in, funny story was in 1972, we lived in Mamaroneck, and I'm one of 8 children, and the next door neighbors, the Lonergans, they were one of 11. And my mother and their mother, we were best of friends. So every year when we were kids, we're like real tiny, we'd go up to Cape Cod in the month of August. We couldn't wait to go to Cape Cod. And in 1972, my older brother, Pat, couldn't go. because he had a caddy in the club championship. And
Right.
he-
You caddied for Buddy Stewart, right?
he caddied for Buddy Stewart in 1972. Buddy Stewart won the club championship, God rest his soul. And I told Darren and Dennis, I said, this is the last summer I'll be up here. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, I knew it. I knew it. It was my turn, the beginning of 73, but I started caddying in 1973. I wouldn't change my life for anything. And so I would sleep over at my papa's house, and me and him would go up there, and I'd sleep over, and we'd be the first ones out with you remember Massey, Lund,
Mhm.
and Moran and those guys. They would play in a threesome a lot. So my papa would take 2 bags and I'd take the other, and we'd run around.
They were basically weekend, drinkers. They would go off the first West, and by the second, oh, Bobby, there's a snake over there. I got to get the snake bite out. And they go in the bag, pick, the Burton bag, and open up the zipper and bring out the flask. Second hole all the way to 18. It was amazing they could get in.
To my papa, I said, what's this snake? What are they talking about? And then they go in the bottle to take out the whiskey or whatever.
Little nipper.
They were traditionalists. That's
Oh,
why the
they were
game was
fun.
invented for 18 holes was, how long it took to drink 18 shots. And
Morning quiet, and we got the whole course from first ones off and whatnot. And I said, Mr. Moran, I'm out with you every Saturday and Sunday with my papa. I said, if you listen to me, I think you could have your best score. I said, but you got to listen to me every shot. And he goes, all right, we'll give it a shot. So one West, what he would do is hit driver. They weren't that good and they weren't that long. So he'd hit driver 3-wood into that bunker every single time in that bunker 50 yards short of the green. Then he'd fat it. Then he'd scull it over the green and he'd make 7. So he hits a beautiful drive right down the middle. And he goes, okay, I give him the 6-iron. He goes, what are you doing? He goes, I can't get home with that. And I said, well, you can't get home with 3-wood either. The best you can do is hit it in that front bunker. So he hits 6-iron short of the bunker, hits a 9-iron on the green and makes a putt. First time he ever barred the hole. So the guy shoots 88. First time he ever broke 90 in his life. And we had a blast. He was going nuts. And he goes, back then $8 was your typical, it was your typical loop. So he goes, I'm going to give you $1 for every age you are. How old are you, Bobby? And I said 50.
So how many Collinses have you ever counted them up that had something to do with Wingfoot?
Well, we had Papa, Daddy, Uncle Tom, John, and Joe, me, Pat, and Martin. My sister Terry did the calligraphy for the tournaments. Then my younger sisters did it after Terry left. It's got to be close to a dozen.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, wow,
he left quite an impression for just a dozen people, though.
It's a wonderful. It's an unbelievable place. I mean, the physicality of the place itself, but the people. And when I say the people, I mean the members. I met my fellow caddies. I mean the workers, whether it was on the greens crew or in the kitchen or down at the caddy shack or the cart man. I mean, it was wild.
Your dad was basically as well known as Wingfoot. He's like a celebrity.
Well,
that doesn't happen a lot in corporations or anywhere else.
Yeah. I mean, when he started, he went up there in I believe it was like somewhere around the 40s. And he goes up there and he goes, Gene Hayden he was younger, I believe he was the caddy master. And he said, hi, my name is Pat Collins. I'd like to be a caddy here. And Gene was an AA guy. And Gene goes, what do you have, a brother, Tom Collins? And my father turns around, he goes to his brother, my Uncle Tom. He goes, hey, Tom, he knows you. Sure did. The Mara family. What an awesome family.
Something
I remember caddying for Wellington and I got close with John at Westchester. Just a wonderful family.
Any other celebrities you remember in your time at Wingfoot?
I've been just blessed in that era of golf and celebrities. I had we caddied for Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, Evel Knievel we talked about. I had Willie Mays. I caddied for Whitey Ford. I caddied for my all-time favorite was Don Meredith from the Cowboys. And then the pros, I'd caddy for Jack Nicklaus. I didn't caddy for Jack and Wingfoot. I caddied for him at St. Andrews. I caddied for Ben Crenshaw, Tom Kite, and Jerry Pate all in their primes when they came up to Wingfoot. So I got a real cute story for you. So Dad goes to me, Arnold Palmer's coming up. You want to go with them, and I was like, you got to give Martin, if you're going to give it to somebody, let Martin caddy for Palmer, but put me out in the group. Let me, make sure everything goes all right. Martin goes on the first hole. He says, hi, my name is Martin. Like we were all taught, I'll be your caddy today. If you need any help, just ask me. Otherwise, So he goes, great to meet you. And Palmer, he was so nice. And so on the first hole of the West course, he says, hey, Mark, how far do we have? And if you know my younger brother, Martin, he had a little, not attitude, but, a little defense. And he goes, let's get something straight. It's Martin. So Palmer for 17 holes called them Mark, Mitchell, anything but Martin, Matthew, the whole nine. He wouldn't call him Martin. And, so I went to Martin. I said, he's busting your chops. I got it. So they come in, that picture right there, Dad sitting there. All the dignitaries come around and they're all standing around, and the head of the group that the reason why Palmer was there. And Martin says, I've been caddying for a few years now, and I never had so much fun. And I'd really like to thank you, Mr. Nicholas. The beauty about not only Wingfoot, it's also the game of golf and meeting all the people. And then, I've been the caddy master at Westchester Country Club for 32 years. And the one lucky thing was all the golf courses that we got to play over the years, all the famous golf courses, which was just a ton of fun. And I got a real quick story for you where, Birdman, I saw the thing the other day was he didn't. I went out to him out in California, and in December 31st, I thought it was 79. It might've been 80. We went to that Grateful Dead concert, and it was a midnight show, and we're coming home and we got to rent a car. Now we're two kids, we're 17, 18 years old. We could barely get a rent a car. We got to rent a car. We're leaving San Francisco Civic Center, I believe it was. And it was 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. Birdman was driving and he hit a curb. And it didn't get into an accident, but he hit this curb, and the curb was like a foot tall. So we got two flat tires and one of the rims, it just was like, so we're devastated and whatnot. So, we get, my father or somebody involved. The rent-a-car wouldn't give us another rent-a-car. They wouldn't pick it up. They're picking it up, but they won't give us another rent-a-car. You're out. You lost your money and done a lot. We have no money. So we finally put up a couple bucks together. Back then, no phone, no internet, anything like that. I go to the Yellow Pages and I find Rent-A-Wreck. Beautiful. That's right up our alley, Birdman. So it's $5 a day.
You don't even have to wreck it. It's already wrecked.
Yeah, right. And it's $5 a day. We get a Lincoln Ford Black LTS or whatever they were called. The muffler would drag on the ground and make sparks. You can see the sparks when you're driving. We're playing Cypress Point the next day. So we got this wreck of a car with the muffler dragging on the ground, spikes coming out. So we pull up to Cypress Point. The guards are coming down. Whoa, you guys are lost. I said, no, I have a tea time. He goes, get out of here. What's your name? Bobby Collins, and he goes, holy man, what the hell is going on here? All right, come on up. And so I valet parked the car. There's like a DeLorean there, a Maserati, and my car, where there's only like 4 people there. So I come out afterwards and I go to the valet car. We were the first ones off. We played like 3.5 hours, whatever. And we come off Cypress Point. We get the valet guy. And, can you get my car? I said, yeah, the Maserati, and he pulls up and there's sparks coming out of the Ford.
Gonna let you in with the sparks.
Yeah.
But see, you said the magic words. I'm Bobby Collins. Billy and I, they would have said, yeah, go try to play Poppy Hills. Good luck. Get out of here. Good luck.
My cousin Owen O'Neill and I, every June 21st or thereabouts would play 4 golf courses in the same day. 72 holes, Siren, Stanwich, and both sides of Wingfoot. So we're coming off the West Wingfoot, one of the rounds. And as we're coming through, Pat says to the caddies, get these bags down to number 1 East right now. These guys are setting records.
The caddying for George Burns. At one time he was really good. As a matter of fact, it wasn't that long afterwards. I believe he came in like second or third in the U.S. Open. We're out there caddying for him. I have his bag, and it was 3 amateurs, and the loop was kind of mundane. It started off very quiet, very slow, and whatnot. And we were excited. So finally, I got to 7 East, and I went to George Burns. I said, I've had enough. Let's have some fun. I said, I bet you $5 in front of the 3 amateurs, you can't par this hole. And he looks at me, and I just came in second in the U.S. Open. I said, all right, you want to make it $10? So we get there, and I'm up at the tee. Birdman went out for caddy, and back then you had the persimmon wood, so you didn't hit it the way they hit it today. But absolutely Sunday tattoos. His persimmon drive had to be 280. Right down the middle, and that's when I knew I won the bet, because the pin was all the way in the back right-hand plateau, and I knew that he was going to try to shut me up and make birdie. So he went after the pin and came up in the middle of the right-hand bunker. And we all know that the only way you're getting that up and down is if you make the 15-footer. So he hit a great bunker shot, rolled to the left, and then he's got this 15-footer. And I said, we got $10 on this now. You want me to read the putt for you? He goes, leave me alone. Missed the putt. He misread it. The amateurs got a huge kick out of it. And it really kind of made the day. And that's why it's one of my favorite holes.
Did you have a favorite loop?
I was steady caddy for Ray Noletti for 18 years. Ray would play Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, but Ray didn't play in the winter. And how we got this going was 4 East. And Hank Malfa, the thing about him was, and those guys, and one of my favorite all-time human beings was Crafty Clark, was they would play all winter long. And, Crafty would play like right in that picture right there. He would play, and they wouldn't even hesitate. I was caddying 52 weekends a year, unless there was a blizzard. And so I'm caddying for Hank Malfa. It's January, and the ground is 100% frozen, like Mamaroneck Avenue. And Hank hits a great drive, and the frozen ground, he gets out there. He could get home in 2 on 4 East. But back then, if you remember, they had that willow, the tree on the corner. Say he could hit the green. Well, it hits a tree, goes in the middle of the pond. So I walk down, I put my bag next to the pond, and he walks out on the pond and hit his ball. He goes, come on, kid, let's go. And I'm giving him one of those looks like John Belushi. You don't expect me to go out there.
I'll slide you a club. What do you want?
Yeah, right. And I walked out, he hit the shot on the green. Let's go.
That's hysterical. We're going to talk to Hank.
Trying to hit the ball, open the face of the 5-wood and hit the ball on the green, because I hit a really long drive. It was easy to hit a long drive because the turf was frozen. But I hit a really long drive, and I thought I could get home, and I hit the tree, and it dropped in the lake. And I started marching out in the lake, and he said, what are you, crazy? I said, no, we're going out there. Well, he didn't know that I had done that previously. The week before, I hit it over the trees, but it didn't get far enough, and it stopped out in the lake. So I walked out in the lake, and I wedged it up on the green and made my par. Well, the following week, when I hit the one and it hit the tree and dropped down, and that's when I walked out on the ice with him, and he thought I was nuts, but we survived. By the way, it was walking out. If you walk out on the ice, it creaks. And it scared the hell out of Bobby.
It's a wonderful, wonderful. It's an unbelievable place. The physicality of the place itself, but the people. And when I say the people, I mean the members. I met my fellow caddies.
Your dad was basically as well known as Wingfoot. He's like a celebrity.
And he goes up there and he goes, Gene Hayden he was younger, I believe he was the caddy master. And he said, hi, my name is Pat Collins. I'd like to be a caddy here. And Gene was an AA guy. And Gene goes, what, do you have a brother, Tom Collins? And my father turns around, he goes to his brother, my Uncle Tom. He goes, hey, Tom, he knows you.
Hey, Bobby, how does it feel to be talking to us and not having to make people get out of the way so we can tee off?
It feels a little different, to be honest.
Okay, Bobby, this has been a thrill. We may have to have you back because we only scratched the surface with you.
It's been a joy and a thrill. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Why are you laughing?
Well, at least we have the laugh to add at the end.
Thanks for joining us
Casper.
today.
Billy
We
Harmon,
really appreciate your
Double
feedback.
Indemnity,
And please
Arky,
subscribe to the
Two
show
Outer,
and hit the
Claude
bell
Harmon,
icon so you get notified
Movie
of
Classics,
new episodes.
Mark Gable,
Hit 'em
Odd
hard
Job,
and hit 'em off.
Best 36 Holes.